Revelation 730. From the 1st of January 1939. Divine laws. Sin. An eternal law determines the guidelines for all thinking and acting, namely that the application of all strength is demanded for the strictest adherence to the divine commandments, which are again only the clear demands which correspond to the divine order and therefore always adapt themselves to the laws of nature given by God. A law issued by the highest lawgiver means therefore also the guideline for all thinking and acting, which, if it is to correspond to the will of God, it must adapt itself to the divine demands. Every deviation or contravention must therefore be recognized and felt as wrong or sin. Likewise, an adaptation to the divine order must have such an effect that inner satisfaction and unmistakable spiritual progress are the success of an earthly walk that is pleasing to God and observes His laws. Where no attention is paid to the laws given by God, very soon an unstable condition results, which understandably expresses itself just the opposite. In spiritual delusion, undeveloped inner life and poor hopelessness with regard to a life in bliss on the other side following the life on earth. But if the earthly child is always careful to always carry out his thinking and acting in the sense of God's intended order, his spiritual state will become clearer and clearer, and he is now also able to distinguish how far all creation is subject to the divine laws. That is, which task is intended for every work of creation and why a contravention against God's commandments has such a serious effect. Because it must recognize soon that no being can offend against God's orders without taking serious damage in spiritual respect. Man certainly has the freedom of will to oppose these commandments, but then on his own responsibility and danger, and in the foreseeable future, no being will succeed to be able to leave the laws unnoticed without taking damage to his soul, because in the short time on earth, only always striving must be done to comply with all demands of the eternal deity, if the soul is to be able to register a notable advantage for itself. Only a complete acknowledgement of the divine laws and a consciously joyful keeping of God's commandments can bring about the maturity of the soul, as it is wanted by God Himself. That the earthly child comes close to Him and becomes worthy of His love and grace. Amen.